From Super League to Olympic distance to age group world records to Kona. Go longer with the right fuel at the right time with SFuels.
It's Aloha Thursday, gonna swim, bike, and run day. Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Pancho Man. Welcome to our 11th year of Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Huggos on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, Forum Smart Swim Goggles, Quintanaroo, Zoot, the original triathlon brand, and of course our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, Ironman Lanzarote champion, Mr. Kenneth Vandendriessche. How you doing, Kenneth?
Good. Really happy to be here. Yeah.
It's a treat to get to chat with you. We haven't met before.
No. Yeah. I think Ironman Lanzarote was also my first big win. And I think now I deserve to be here on the island.
You definitely deserve to be here on the island. When you talk about a 57-minute swim, 4:56 bike, 2:40 marathon on that course in Lanzarote, 8:39:55, and not only were you 2:40 with the marathon, you stopped for a little bit.
Yeah, I had to say hi to my wife. We met each other in Lanzarote. So
did you really?
Yeah. So it's a really special island for us. And when I saw her, I just had to say hi and also say thank you to her actually, because it's been some difficult years also for me. And
what would have been with COVID?
Yeah, no, just my performances weren't like I always wanted to be them, like on the top, and that was just like you also said, like a breakthrough race, and finally everything like fell into its place, and it was just the perfect moment, perfect timing to say hi to my wife and just enjoy it. Enjoy the finish line. Yeah.
What got you into the sport? Were you a swimmer, biker, runner growing up?
No, not at all. I was a football player.
Football player?
Yeah, soccer.
Soccer player, yes.
So I played until I think I was 16 years old. Midfield player. Was a tiny, small guy.
Yes.
And it was just sometimes too hard to actually play against the bigger guys. And I lost, I think, also the love for the sport a little bit, like playing it then. And there was a local duathlon in my hometown.
Yes.
And my dad said, like, if you want to race it, you can race it. So my granddad arranged a really old cycling bike for me. I did it. And just before the start, my dad said, hey, if you win today, you will get a new bike. And I won. So,
you won your first race ever
yeah.
on your grandpa's bike.
Yeah.
And you win the race.
Yeah. And that's actually how I started to do duathlon in first, and then I went over to triathlon. Yeah.
Well, and in Belgium, because there's not a lot of places to swim, right? Is that a part of the issue? Water's freezing. And so duathlon is always been big there.
Yeah. We have actually, we had or like still have a lot of really good athletes in duathlon. I actually also think this really made me also to be a good triathlete. My rep strength, of course. So it's also just the history that we had with the brothers van Steeland. They were both a few times world champion, and I lived 10-15 kilometers away from them.
Yes.
So even with Yuri van Steeland, I started to train a lot with him when I was younger. So I think that gave me that boost also to want to become a professional triathlete or duathlete. Yeah.
Did you know much about, I mean, Luc van Lierde, won here in 96 and 99, and obviously Freddie van Lierde won in 2013. You've got a pretty good history here. Yeah. Bart Arnott, I mean, there's a lot of great Belgians.
Really good performances already have been done here by Belgians.
Right.
And I think we all know the victory of Luc in Belgium. Like, he was Sportsman of the Year also from Frederick. Like the images of the finish line, that's just it's historic. It's if you say to me, what do you think about Ironman Hawaii? Like, I always see Frederick and Luc win. Yeah,
it's funny because that Luc win was very impactful for me as well, because he had never run a marathon before.
No,
he was invited. He didn't have to. Back then, you didn't qualify, and he came here and he broke the course record. And broke the run course record. Right? I think actually not the run course. He broke the course record, and just changed everything. And the funny part was, I had told him beforehand, that the wind is very strong here.
Yeah.
And he finished the race, and there wasn't any wind that year. And he was like, the wind in Belgium was way stronger than this.
Yeah.
Then he came in 97, and we drove up, and he's like shaking his head. And afterwards I said, what are you shaking your head? He goes, the weakest wind today was stronger than the strongest wind last year.
Yeah.
Now I understand
Yeah.
when you talk about wind.
Yeah.
Because he kept saying how windy it was in Belgium. Not like here.
I hope it's not like we will see.
Yes.
We train a lot like where we live. It's just flat. Lots of wind. Like if you know the classics in cycling. That's
Right.
actually the reason the region where I live. So yeah.
When I look at your career and I look at lots of 70.3s.
Yeah.
Right. 70.3 Luxembourg. You won there. Lanzarote. You were third there. Second at 70.3 South Africa. And when did you make that move to, because you did a lot of 70.3s,
Yeah.
when did you make the move to full?
Actually, last year only.
Oh, just last year?
Yeah. Ironman Lanzarote was my first Ironman last year. And this year, Ironman Lanzarote was only my second one. So 1 and 2 Ironmans that I did, I won 1. So that's a quite good average.
Yes, 50%. I
yeah.
like that. Keep that average going. So you were 9th the first Ironman you did in
Yeah.
Lanzarote.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you win on that same course. And that, for people who don't know that race, that is a brutal race because you not often do you climb into the wind.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you're climbing, the wind goes away.
Mhm.
There's no shade whatsoever on
No.
that course.
No.
Brutal.
Yeah.
It's very similar to this. In fact, I think it's harder than this.
Yeah, maybe I will tell you Saturday evening, but they all say like Ironman Lanzarote is the hardest course on
the
of
circuit.
Ironman. Yeah, like we will see. For me, like I know the island so well. I think that's also my biggest advantage over there. I think it was still quite okay. We had really good conditions this year.
Right.
That's maybe also because my time was quite fast. But yeah, it's a really hard course. Yeah.
Being here, how long have you been in town training?
We arrived just last night.
Oh, last night, so
yeah,
you haven't
yeah.
been on the course yet.
No, I just went swimming this morning.
Pretty though, huh?
It's amazing.
It's
yeah.
like being in an aquarium.
It's really nice. Yeah.
It's funny for people who aren't from the west coast of California or here. You come from Belgium, you don't see stuff like
No,
this.
no. When we go swimming in the sea, if you look down, it's just pitch black. So
Yes.
here you see everything, and yeah, it's amazing. Like it's better than I actually expected. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
And like Luke won this race first time out,
Yeah.
right? He was one of the first guys to do that, to go off to win this thing first time out. What are your goals here?
I think for me, like we all know my swimming is my weakest of the three. It all depends how the guys will race at the front.
Right.
I think they
they're
will
gonna go
race.
for it.
I
They're
think
gonna
they will
push it.
race really aggressive.
Yes.
So that's maybe one of my advantages. If I will be back after the swim, and if I do my own race with the guys around me over there, then I think lots still can happen. Especially if I can run my marathon like I did in Lanzarote. But what is a lot, like I'm maybe like in a good day I can become I can be in the top 10.
That's a good goal.
Yeah. I think it could also be a realistic goal if I just pace well and if I do my own race. Yeah.
How hard was it to go from duathlon to triathlon? A lot of times people they start they get into the swim and they don't realize that swimming is so much of the feel for the water. You grow up. So many people they grow up with it.
Yeah.
And they don't. It's not a challenge for them.
No.
But for someone like yourself coming into it late, you're starting to swim at what age?
I think it was 21. So
That's hard.
Yeah. I still struggle with it. Like, but it's just working hard, day in day out. And I know now, like I also changed to a swim squad after my win in Lanzarote, because we all know like that's my weakest.
Right.
We have to work on it, especially also for Kona. And I think I improved. I know I improved a lot in my swing, but we will see if it's good enough to be just in that pack, or if I will be behind. So
after this, do you go to St. George for 70.3 Worlds?
No, I go home because actually when I arrive home 1 month later, That's the date of birth planned of my daughter.
Oh.
So my wife is now like heavily pregnant. Yeah, so I have to go home. I don't want to miss that. So yeah, it's also something that I really look forward to. So yeah, so no 70.3.
Will this be your first?
Yeah.
How did you guys meet in Lanzarote?
Back in the days, I was sponsored by Club La Santa, and she was working there. Yeah, the sports complex, and yeah, we got to know each other there. And then we lived actually for a while also on the island before we actually went to Belgium. So yeah.
You know, it's funny. That's where Michelle Vesterby, one of our top triathletes, she met her husband over at Club La Santa as well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's I think also like for us Europeans, I think it's one of the best destinations also just to train. So yeah, it's when you go there, you always see one like somebody that you know to train with. So that's always nice.
Love it,
yeah.
Kenneth. It's a treat to get to meet you. I look forward to seeing you race. I think you're going to surprise a lot of people.
Hope so. Yeah.
Kenneth Vandendriessche has been our guest. Poncho Man, take us out.
It's Aloha Thursday, gonna swim, bike, and run day. Cause it's breakfast with Bob.
That is a wrap for day 2. Breakfast with Bob. We'll catch you tomorrow.